Now, welcome to Let's Talk Some Bad Batch, where we will be kind of reading and responding to some of the comments left on the review on my other channel over there. And that's going to also mean major spoilers coming for the first 2 episodes of Season 2 of The Bad Batch. So if you haven't seen them, you don't want it ruined, you know what to do, click away. Alright, so let's kick this off with your very, very brief review of the first 2 episodes. What did you think?
I think it felt a lot like Season 1. I thought the first 2 episodes here were kind of a rehash to remind you all who the Bad Batch are, who they work for, why they do what they do. It wasn't really a lot of new information, but it was good. It just was missing something. That little piece to really take it to the next season level.
Get you excited for the upcoming season? I would say that was the biggest downside of it, is that it didn't get me all excited for what's to come. I mean, there were hints and clues, and it wasn't bad. I'm not saying that, but it wasn't it didn't feel like it set the stage as well as it could have.
No, right? It was a reminder episode of who the Bad Batch are and what their capabilities are.
Yeah, it did that very well. And it got a little character depth. It did a few things right, don't get me wrong. So let's just get to the comments, and of course we will start with the top rated comment from the other video, which is
from Ben Costello. Personally, I thought everything was fine. They obviously heard fans were asking for more Echo, so that's nice. But otherwise, it felt like we were back in Season 1 for better or worse. There's a lot of good stuff here, but I just feel like it's missing something. That it's not quite as good as it could be.
He echoed your sentiments, pretty much. Or you echoed his. I suppose it could be seen as either way.
I didn't read his first, so.
I know. I'm just saying, it's amazing how you two kind of hit the same points.
Well, if that's the top comment, it means that hit a point for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I did use Echo as a pun because he was better in this episode. It was really almost an Echo episode, right? Because he had his little beef with Hunter.
With Hunter,
and then Omega was trying.
With Omega.
So it was kind of all about Echo, which was nice because Echo was, as we've discussed before, the forgotten character of Season 1, really.
Well, Echo and Tech kind of merged into one character. They're the robotic tech
the guy in the chair, kind of, the one who's behind the scenes and makes things happen every now and then.
Forget that Echo might have different opinions than the other clones, as he has an entirely different background than the rest of the team.
See, that was my favorite part of the episode, is we are reminded that Echo comes from, he is the epitome of the ARC trooper, right? He is the guy who was out there on the front lines, fighting the big battles, helping the Republic. He was working with the Jedi. He saw the big picture. He saw, he was helping people, whereas the Bad Batch are kind of doing those covert missions of sabotage and whatever else it might be.
They were pretty much directly against the enemy, whereas ARC troopers would also have worked with the people of the Republic.
Yeah. I mean, ARC troopers did special missions too, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, Echo was a for the cause kind of guy. He knew the big picture. He knew what was at stake with the Republic.
All right, let's move on to the next comment here from The Grand Potato. Is nobody going to talk about how awesome Tech was in this episode? Literally taking on a squad of clone troopers and overpowering one of them in melee with a fractured leg? Alright, that comment goes along with Squirrel Led. I think this was a great start of the season for Echo, Omega, and Tech. All of them had their moments to shine, but the biggest one for me is watching Omega's failure to make the heist go right. Starting her off on a failure is a great way to help her grow as a character, even if it was something minor. Tech's injury, I think, was also an interesting moment, as it literally showed a team member hurt, which we don't get too often. He was struggling, and he was put in a situation where, yes, he did need to think of his way out, but he had to show some physical strength to overcome the stormtroopers. For a character I never really viewed as a physical threat, that was a good moment for him. I'm excited to see where these 3 characters are heading in the season, because they have what I think are some strong starting points.
Yeah, there were upsides. I think some of the characters that didn't shine in Season 1 got a chance to shine a bit here. Echo and Tech. And they did humble Omega a bit, I guess. But she does get humbled in Season. It's such a strange thing with Omega. She either needs to be rescued or she's the one rescuing. That was kind of the whole shtick with her in Season 1. It was one or the other, or sometimes both.
So it is good to see some changes, some more realistic views of Omega. But no, I really thought Tech was good in this episode.
It was interesting to see Tech injured because, as they point out, we don't usually see them getting injured. That's kind of one of the problems of the Bad Batch, is how
many times did someone heavy hit Wrecker's head in the Season 1, and he was always fine, just oh, my head hurts.
Well, it was setting up the whole malfunctioning chip, but yeah, I get what you're saying. It's kind of rare to see them. They fail. That's the interesting thing of this episode. It's a complete failure. And a lot of it is Omega's fault. A lot of it is, the clone troopers actually kind of being on point in this episode. Their opponent, clone troopers, I should say.
I agree. I do like the reminder that Tech could be a physical character. I mean, he still did all the same training the other clones
trooper,
did.
Yeah.
He's still a clone trooper, so he could still be physical. We just don't see him in that role because he prefers to think his way out of it.
Yeah, we know. We know Tech is your favorite.
No, Tech is not her favorite.
Tech is her favorite. Clearly. She's here to represent.
Moving on to Oscar B. I'm just glad they didn't have a surprise twist where Dooku survived as a severed head attached to robotic spider legs. This comic goes along with Addy Animations. The fact that Count Dooku was stealing from his people was very interesting. He became the very thing he swore to destroy.
Yeah, I've seen some people kind of... Dooku's always been kind of a strange...
We actually had a pretty in-depth conversation in our Discord voice chat this week about how Dooku was portrayed in this episode.
Well, how he's kind of portrayed overall, because... In the prequels, and especially episode 2, you get this sense of he's doing it because he feels like he has to, right? And then of course we kind of see that reiterated in Tales of the Jedi. He's not a bad guy. He has the right reasons for what he's doing. He just kind of falls down the wrong path to do it. And then in the Clone Wars animated series, you kind of get the mustache twirling villain kind of thing, where I'm bad because I'm bad, ha ha ha. And I don't think the Clone Wars did him too many favors.
No.
And now it's kind of here in Bad Batch we see, well, he's stealing from his own people. And, to win a war, you're going to, when you're losing, you're going to do some shady things. And I just kind of always think of it as he is a Sith that corrupts you no matter what your intent is. You are going down the wrong path. So for me, Dooku is the character who starts out with a good intent, gets corrupted by Palpatine, starts going down the dark path, and there you go. He starts doing shadier and shadier things. I mean, Anakin is a perfect example, right? Anakin, pretty quickly, he is doing some pretty shady things, right? Once he becomes a Darksider, so it happens, is what I'm saying.
Next up from Legends and Theories, I love that the Bad Batch would not kill clones unless they had to, which is what they should have done with Finn.
Yeah, Finn kind of smiling and cheering when he's killing stormtroopers that he just escaped from after growing up with them his whole life is a strange thing. Same way, it would be strange if the Bad Batch was... And they're not even close to the Regs, are they? So it'd still be weird if they're killing their brothers and, haha, we killed another one. Though Wrecker does seem to kind of get that attitude from time to time.
He just likes to use the big gun. He's not exactly thinking about his consequences.
No.
But it makes a lot of sense with the clones, especially because they know that they're brainwashed. They know about the chips and what they did to them. With Finn, it's almost a little different because I don't think he really acknowledges the fact that he was brainwashed into his beliefs.
Maybe not.
So
I mean, he has to have. You would think he has some empathy for the other clones because he's gone through the same things with them. Well, yeah. Excuse me, the other stormtroopers. Now I'm getting mixed up here, but you would think Finn would have a little more empathy than like firing all willy nilly. And not
according to the
twice,
book, the one he was friends with, died for the cause, and
that was actually a friend, kind of his friend who dies in the
his
Force
friend
Awakens
who was a little
who leaves the bloody handprint.
Yeah. But the other ones weren't always, friendly with him. They were competition, and they were, But, he should have a little more empathy for them, no matter what.
Yeah.
You'd think he would have a little empathy.
You would think there would be hesitation before he started to gun them down, considering he's trying to escape from that because he knows how horrible it is. But anyway.
Next from MoFi. I think the major issue with the show is the fact that most people, including me, just don't care enough to follow them on their adventures. They need to focus more on making us all fall in love with their characters. Between 1 and 3 episodes for each of the Bad Batch to get their chance to shine for the audience to fall in love with them.
Yeah, that's what I keep kind of saying about the show is the least interesting part. It tends to be the Bad Batch themselves.
It's sad, but true.
I'm not saying they're bad. No pun intended there. But they're not super... I think they just fall too much into those tropes. We have smart guy, strong guy. We talked about that before, but...
They need to become more layered characters.
Yes, they're not very... They're trying, like it was, like Tech, for example. Oh, look, Tech can actually physically do things, and he's got this going on, and Echo has some complexity to him, as we know he should and does. He wants to be out there fighting the good fight, and Hunter wants to protect his family. So we are getting to learn that. It's just something about them that just isn't, I think, resonating with everybody. I don't know if it's in the writing or if it's just the show itself, kind of the Adventure of the Week style. I don't know what it is, but I think it's a good show. It has a ton of potential, and I think it's just missing something somewhere.
It's hard to say exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of pinpoint it or articulate what's wrong with the Bad Batch that you just don't get into their characters. And I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying me personally, and I've seen other people. That comment obviously kind of makes the same point. Is it just you're not really into their story that much as you're into the bigger picture, I think.
Next from Iknayo, sorry if I mispronounced that one. It was okay. Everything felt formulaic. Omega had matured and is getting capable to keep up with her brothers. The only thing truly interesting was the ending. That goes along with Emperor Aaron VII. Echo and Tech got more screen time and that ending was dark. Those things are good signs. The ending was the
best part. I like the
episode,
ending, yeah.
Yes. Because you're starting to really see what the Empire is capable of.
The lengths to go to.
I mean, I saw a comment on a different video that we had put out on the channel talking about how they wanted to see the different shows and stuff bring you to different time periods. How, A New Hope brings you from despair to hope and everything. And they wanted this show to kind of take you from the Republic, a time of prosperity and the end of the war, and it's great, into this dark times of the Empire. We shouldn't see them succeed all the time. We should start seeing these dark things that the Empire is willing to do, because seeing how far they'll go and how horrible they're being should be setting us into Andor, where things are dark and dystopian.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's what, the darker the bad times, the brighter the good times seem to be, or the hope seems to be, right? The more impact it makes when we kind of pull ourselves out of the darkness.
Makes this show hard because we're heading further into the dark times.
Yeah, we should get the really bad times, right?
Right. We haven't seen the fully fledged stormtroopers come in, which I assume is going to be the pinnacle of when the bad times get
we've seen kind of the half
bad.
Between the clone trooper armor and stormtroopers, and we've seen the transformation beginning.
Because the clones, as they constantly like to show, are still honorable.
Yeah, that's what I thought was great about that. He refused to, they are still the same clones. They've just kind of had that, the reset button hit in a way when the chip in Order 66 and all that. What I did love about that ending is it's such a strange thing where you have the kind of this fun adventure of the week show, which these episodes really felt like. Then you have this really dark moment. Like season 1 was the same way, where you kind of have this really fun show at times, and then like something really dark happens. Crosshair is going to, eliminate his own men, in cold blood. And so it's funny how this show works sometimes.
Very. Next from Bricks and Barbells. I really love how competent they showed the rank and file clones in this episode. The captain did everything correctly, chasing the batch, but when his immorals got in the way of the Imperial report, he was betrayed immediately.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what we were just talking about. Clones were honorable. The clones were, trained to be upstanding Republic soldiers.
Yeah. And they're still in there.
They are still in there. The Empire, they're kind of grasping for power at this point. So seeing Rampart just come in there and mow down somebody because it didn't fit his narrative makes sense in a bad way.
Yeah. I like that the clones were actually seemed capable for the most part. Their aim, again, we have that problem of, you can't shoot the good guys. So their aim was sometimes off, but their tactics were sound. Captain Wilco, I think, was the name again. Another great clone captain on top of it. If it's not the Bad Batch he's going after, he's probably going to win the day.
Yeah, he had sound decisions the entire way through.
It was good. It was nice to see them kind of competent, yet the individual soldiers kind of bungling and not, getting the job done, which is what we come to expect sometimes out of the Empire.
Next comment comes from Luke Skywalker. I really hated how predictable it was that they wouldn't get the treasure. Like, all Omega had to do was close her backpack. Not having them settle their debt with Sid was a poor start, in my opinion. They need to grow beyond these side quest missions. I still genuinely enjoyed the action. Plus, it was great seeing more Tech and Echo being useful. I'm not one to write off a show after the first several episodes. I'm just hoping it picks up story-wise.
Yeah, you were screaming at the screen to close your bag because you saw it coming a mile away.
I don't know why you wouldn't close your bag.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're hauling. You should close your bag if you're going to be climbing up a rope and everything afterwards.
Yeah. It is. It was kind of interesting to see them fail. At the same time, I kind of agree. If they succeed and they get out from under Sid, then they really have this kind of moral dilemma to face head on. What do we do with this money we have? We don't have to take side jobs anymore. We have this funds. We can go hide, or we can do something else.
I do think this season is going to pick up.
Yeah, I do think it's going to pick up, and I do think
there have been images in the trailer that really excited me, and I can't wait to see where that goes.
Sure. I think it was just, again, not the greatest way to start the season. Not a bad way, but not the greatest. I think
Like I
there's
said,
other things.
It was rehash reminder.
Yeah.
Next up from Prime Redek. I don't really mind the episode not being that important in the big scale. I don't expect the Bad Batch to be Luke, like the fate of the galaxy could be in their hands each episode. I really like the start, and especially Echo's concerns.
No, I agree with that. I don't think the fate of the galaxy needs to be on the line every week. I think going along with what we were talking about before, somehow the Bad Batch themselves need to become more interesting, more, that we care about them more.
See, that's
that
one
way
of the
smaller missions will have more impact than always wanting something bigger.
See, that's one of the key issues right now is we don't really know what the Bad Batch's motives are. The first episode, it was to escape, kind of protect themselves. And we saw right away that Hunter wants to do that again this season, where all he wants is to get a big score so they can go into hiding and live out their lives.
Yeah.
With Omega getting to grow up as a regular citizen, sort of. But Echo is already pulling them in a different direction by telling them he wants to do more to help. So they're going to get pulled back into the fray and away from Hunter's plan of let's go into hiding.
Yeah.
Which he didn't even ask Omega if that's what she wants.
Well, I think Omega would want to help the team. I think she wants to be that kind of...
Mm-hmm. I think she wants to
go
help
out there
people.
And fight kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's cool and all. But Hunter obviously kind of feeling like the father figure wants to take care of his quote-unquote daughter.
All right, and the last comment is from Question Man. The episode did seem a bit anticlimactic. Maybe it's setting the pace and reorienting our expectations for this season. After all, we were promised darker times for them. We are accustomed to the Bad Batch triumphing against insurmountable odds. Now they barely escape a big mission with only their lives. Worse off than they started. A resounding defeat. Not typical for a season opener. Maybe it's subverting the formula in service to the story arc.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Mm-hmm. What's weird about the Bad Batch is they seem to get more and more depowered as it goes on. I mean, if you remember, if you watch their Clone Wars Season 7 arc, they were just monsters.
Oh, yeah.
And as the series goes on, they get less and less kind of... I mean, Wrecker, I guess, is still a monster in many ways, but they do kind of... Their power level kind of declines as the show goes on. Now they're failing missions and...
Well, partially because they did lose one of their own, too.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if maybe that's part of the problem, is they started out at such a... they're this elite team that can just do anything. They, destroy, I guess you should say, 100,000 battle droids, and they're doing all these things, and now they're getting less and less powered, and maybe if it's done in reverse, it works better. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's it, but that could be part of the problem.
Well, and it's also they're facing their own, former brothers. They''re not facing a bunch of droids anymore that have predictable patterns, and they are missing the member of their team who fit into this role. They have Omega, but she doesn't fit into Crosshair's role yet. Yeah.
I mean, I wish they would lean into the clone trooper brother Regs thing more. How, they don't like having to fight them. They, it's kind of implied by stunning them and stuff, but maybe if they went into that a little bit more, it could be more interesting. I don't know.
And it's interesting because I wonder how the clones feel, like the fact that they can tell they're obviously that these guns that are fighting against them are set to stun.
Yeah, it's got to make them question things, right? Why are they not trying to kill us? If they're as bad as we've been told, why do they not want to kill us?
Why are their guns on stun?
Yeah. I hope we do see things more from the regular clone trooper perspective. I mean, as someone pointed out in the comments, we didn't read this one, but I mean, they do murder Captain Wilco. That's gonna lead to some questions from the other clones, right? Well, what exactly happened to him? Why is he... Yeah, I mean, that's probably what they'll say. He questioned orders, and, well, that is what he did, in a way. But, so, hopefully a little more from the Regs point of view this season. We got Cody coming up. We got, Rex is going to be back. So, certainly we'll get more of that. And that's probably one of the issues I have with the show, is I'm more excited for that than I am about the adventures of the Bad Batch. Hopefully that changes. All right, well, that is all we got for you this time, so now it's your turn to take to the comments below. Tell us what you thought of these first 2 episodes, or tell us what you thought about what anyone here had to say, or what we had to say in response, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.